As rumors are swirling around about Sony's negotiation to acquire FromSoft's parent company, Kadakawa, it is worth discussing Sony's new long-term plan for games and why. Welcome to the Valley B channel. Please subscribe if you're digging the content. It is reported that Sony is in talk to acquire Kadakawa, that is mainly known as the parent company of FromSoft. However, if you follow the anime industry, you should also know that Kadakawa publishes manga and other several anime studios. And with Sony owning Crunchyroll, it seems reasonable that it wants a bigger footprint on anime and manga distribution. With that said, this video is mainly going to cover Sony potentially acquiring FromSoft if negotiations are successful. I like to think that Sony has a desire to go back to past times when success was predictable. For example, Sony created the hit game God of War 1 on the PS2. Everyone plays it, they love it, they want the sequel. Sony oblige, massive profits are made, rinse and repeat. However, the gaming industry has changed, and Sony seems to be barely hanging on financially. For example, the stakes are higher as AAA production quadruples. Competition is steep, and the margin for error and flop in your games and not being able to recoup all of your profits is very wide. Critical acclaim does not entirely contribute to higher sales like in the old days. Ask our buddy Astrobot how he's doing despite IGN and GameSpot's 9 rating together with a Game of the Year nomination. Video games have come a long way from the 8-bit, and with graphical leaps come graphical costs because of higher expectation from consumers. Speaking of great power comes great responsibilities, some reports claim that Spider-Man 2 barely met its expectation, given its $300 million budget and the lofty sales expectation that it needed to sell 7.2 million copies just to break even, according to the leak that Kotaku broke. Spider-Man 2 is currently at 11 million units as of April of this year. Sony's challenges of high AAA budgets are not its only concern. May I present the beast known as live service games. On one hand, you have PlayStation's traditional style of blockbuster single-player AAA games that are very finite in game length. And then you have live service games that emphasize on incredible gameplay loops and quarterly season passes, giving gamers an endless gaming experience, which converts to endless potential. I mean to say endless profit potential. For instance, in 2023, a GameSpot article claimed that 60% of game time in 2023 was spent on live service games more than 6 years old. Altogether in that year, these live services games have generated $93.5 billion. We're talking about COD, GTA 5, Minecraft, CS2, Rocket League, and Apex, 2 of which now belongs to Microsoft, who brought their way to the table, which leaves Sony with no aggressive moneymakers. Sony's response to that realization has led them to purchase Bungie, followed by a more aggressive approach to create a Fortnite-like money machine of its own by the name of Concord. Unfortunately, that game flopped and cost the company an alleged $400 million, according to insiders. Concord was supposed to be an expanding universe, cropping an array of franchises, but after the controversy of political agenda, coupled with average gameplay, this live service game was shut down after 14 days of release. Moving on, feel free to click on my link discussing Concord's flop in detail. Following the huge loss on Concord, I think that Sony is strategizing to realign its commitments towards core gamers with its recent interest to purchase Kadakawa. If I'm thinking like Sony, I'm telling myself, let's get a bit back to our Japanese roots where Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Metal Gear Solid, Tekken gave us our identity. I'm also looking at recent games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Demon Souls Remake, and of course Bloodborne, that is creating relevant buzz and anticipation for gamers. And finally, I'm looking at the Japanese Skyrim itself, Elden Ring, where games like this can shape PlayStation game-centric future and get gamers and casuals talking again. I don't care what anyone says, PS1 and PS2 transcended pop culture the same way the WWF did in the 90s. Anyway, I'm not planning to speculate if Sony will tarnish FromSoft, no pun intended. Let me know if I should in the comments below. However, I'm here to speculate Sony's game plan for its future, and here it is in bullet point fashion. Number 1, Sony wants to dial back its big AAA game investments and go for more smaller investments. I don't mean indie games, I'm talking about Demon Soul experience, dare I say infamous, just speaking into existence. 2024 will be, as most gamers would know, we just got to keep it honest. 2024 will be known as a drought for PlayStation games. I dare say since the PS3 launch. Sony is not known to slow down the pipeline. I assume it wants to get back to pushing out quality all year round. With Kadakawa's From Software, this can set them up for position much faster. Number two, Sony wants exclusive Japanese games back with a vengeance. With Sega and other Japanese studios spreading its wings to all other platforms like Yakuza, Sona, and Square Enix games to some degree, these games are no longer synonymous with PlayStation. They want the exclusive clout back, aside of the blockbuster games that Sony is currently known for. We know Team Ninja has been pumping out Dark Souls clones like Neo and Neo 2, which are incredible. Rise of the Ronin, not so much. But imagine if you have the actual studio you've been trying to emulate to make your first party games like you did when you gave us Demon Souls and Bloodborne. And then number three, this is the most realistic speculation. Sony's going into software distribution, y'all. Can they really leave all the money on the table making Elden Ring 2 exclusive? I'm not sure they can, especially after hemorrhaging a $400 million loss with Concord. After Elden Ring's success, FromSoft arguably became the biggest gaming studio in the world. Anything named Dark Souls or Born at the End will be a big deal. Sony right now needs money, thus they need FromSoft and Kadakawa, which owns. I'm pretty sure the real answer to Sony's future lies somewhere between my 3-point speculation and the anime takeover that it wants, right? I just want to end this video just describing my excitement of the idea that Sony wants to go back to its gameplay-centric roots before God of War 2018, The Last of Us series, and Spider-Man. These are amazing games, of course, but I cannot forget Infamous 1 and 2, OG God of War, Demon Souls. I even miss Killzone and Resistance. Just the idea that Sony is considering FromSoft tells me they might start to care about the gameplay. Perhaps more importantly, they care about exciting core gamers. I understand the naysayer sentiment that mergers and acquisitions, M&A, are ruining the games industry. And pretty soon, we'll have very few companies owning everything. If memory serves me correctly, I'd say Microsoft started the aggressive buy my way in strategy with Bethesda leading to ABK. However, to be fair, Sony was a little too good at playing the aggressive third-party exclusive game and gave Microsoft no choice but to solve its problems with money, the American way. Nonetheless, here we are in this buy or get bought kind of industry with Sony eyeing the Elden Ring publisher. I'm yay or nay when it comes to M&A, but rather an agnostic gamer who chooses to understand and navigate to where the good games are. Nonetheless, the future looks bright for Sony if they can channel all the errors of PlayStation 1 through 5 and create amazing games that we do not only want to watch, but play in as well. Please subscribe for more great discussions, and thanks for watching Valley B Gaming. See you in the next video.